Patterson blast all that hits Provo. Diving save hard as he flashes across. Briere sets up Carl. Side of the net. Deflected. Score! Briere moving in. Stops. Cuts to the middle. Still has it. Shot! Score! Here's Hughes giving it across. Oh, save! Save by Maher! Short-handed mid! He scores! Up top, cruising is Provorov. He scores! Ivan Provorov!
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Florida Podcast. I'm your host, Amedeo Grassia, along with my partner, Chris Maher. As always, we are live streaming on the Painted Lines Flyers Fan Mania 93 and TTP Sports on YouTube. And for people who cannot tune into the live stream, it is always on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts at. So I know we were going to start this stream at like 8 o'clock, but we delayed it a couple of minutes just because both me and Chris are like simultaneously watching the Leafs and Habs game, and we just saw that scary situation with John Tavares having to get stretched out off the ice. Just a horrific accident. He gets hit by Sherratt, then Corey Perry it was just so quick, so fast that Perry just ran into him with his knee, like head to knee, and then it was just scary. Tavares was bleeding on his head, and he looked like he was about to pass out when they were trying to get him up. So it was a scary situation. They got him onto the stretcher, got him off the ice. He thumbs up to everyone that's in the arena, to people that are watching this game on television, and just hopefully everything is good with John Tavares, man. I don't know how you can continue a game like that when your team just takes that hard of a blow, but the Maple Leafs, I'm sure they're going to play their hardest to win for their captain. And man, that was just a scary sight to watch, because like I said, we were just about to go live and then we saw Tavares get hit and we're just like, okay, we got to make sure everything is okay with him.
Yeah, just started at 8:05. Started at 8:05. It's okay.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure Tavares was okay. And yeah, they're getting the game back underway, and as I'm looking onto the other screen that I have, Florida just tied their game at 3-3. And as we're basically into the hectic of the first round of the Stanley Cup Playoffs, where you have so many screens on at once watching every single game. Like I have an iPad right next to me watching the Penguins and the Islanders. I have another TV right there watching Florida, Tampa Bay, and my big TV watching the Montreal Toronto game.
Foligno.
Yeah, and I just saw Perry going with Foligno right there. So yeah, everything is happening at once, and it's a very fun time to be a hockey fan. And also I flip back and forth between the Phillies game just because the Phillies are playing tonight as well. But you know,
I don't know if that was really intentional for Perry there. I think it was kind of just a freak accident, but I understand why they're fighting.
Yeah, I can definitely understand. Like, good for Perry to step up for himself, but I can understand. Yeah, they're talking about it before the thing happens. Like, yeah, I don't think it was just an unfortunate accident. I doubt Perry thought any ill intent toward that. Like, it's just a freak accident at that point. But yeah, just this off of that depressing topic with John Tavares, and hopefully he is okay. To move on to the first round of the Stanley Cup Playoffs, and also we're going to sprinkle in some Flyers talking as well. Actually, let's get the Flyers talk out of the way, because I feel like the Stanley Cup Playoffs are the more exciting topic to talk about. So let's get the Flyers out of the way. And for some reason in Flyers country, Nolan Patrick right now is the main subject. So we're going to bring up Nolan Patrick for a little bit. Chris, you wanted to talk about some free agent opportunities for the Flyers as well. So let's start with the free agent talk. So Chris, what were you wanted to talk about with the free agent possibilities?
I've just been thinking of guys that they could try to either trade for or sign. I don't know what they're going to do, whether it's free agency or trade. I think there's a couple of things they need to address, and that's obviously D is the big one. Backup goaltender. And I think they could maybe add another center, to be honest, like a fourth line center, maybe even third line. I know a lot of people think that Patrick is probably going to either play third or fourth line. Some people don't even think he should be here. But, even with how bad Patrick was, he was, penciled in at the beginning of the season on the top six. Obviously went down, played fourth line for a while, but I think the Flyers are going to give him another shot. I think they'd be pretty dumb not to, honestly. I personally think that they're going to try for a trade on D. I think any other asset for goaltending in the forward, I think is probably going to be free agency. I'm looking at two teams, either Ekman Larson or Ekholm Morales. So those are kind of my handful of guys. I think Ekman Larson you could do. I know the last time we were on here with Charlie O'Connor, I brought up the Niskanen and Gudas kind of thing, and I think Ekman Larson could be used in that.
Just to interrupt you right there, Josh Anderson just scored for Montreal to make it 1-0. So sorry to interrupt you right there, but scoring update with the Montreal-Toronto game. But continue on your talk, Chris.
Yeah, but I feel like that was a beautiful shot. But again, I also I have a feeling that it's probably going to be a trade. If anything, I'm not too sure what the Flyers will give up, but I don't know. I just there's been a lot of talk about it. I think it's going to be it's obviously going to be a busy week there in June for the 21st, 23rd, 24th, and 28th with expansion and then the draft and free agency. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens.
Oh, yeah, 100% agree with you right there. And also Tampa Bay just made it 4-3 as well. So a lot of scoring going on in that second period. They're in the Florida-Tampa game, and it's still 1-0 Penguins currently just starting in the second period. So just going on that topic as well, like, yeah, the stuff that you addressed, Chris, definitely. I feel like the Flyers are going to try to find a way to address those. I know people right now, there's a lot of people that want Nolan Patrick gone. They don't think he should be here next year. And for as harsh as I've been on Nolan Patrick this season, I just don't see any possibility that the Flyers move on from him. I think they give him at least one more year to prove himself. That's what I personally believe. And if he doesn't prove himself in that year, then that's probably when they explore other opportunities to maybe try to improve in that situation with Nolan Patrick. But like I said, I still think he has one more year. And hey, if he proves himself, he proves himself. If he doesn't, he doesn't. It is what it is at that point. But
I mean, yeah, at that point, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, they might move on from him at that point then. But I'm not too sure. I mean, I think we'll worry about that if it comes, let's say.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know, like, with him hiring a new agent and all that, people are now being skeptical that he might request a trade out of here just to find his way to get maybe some new scenery. And yeah, Frank Cervelli also brought that up from TSN, and also Frank Cervelli is no longer with TSN anymore as he stepped down from his position. So I wonder where his next opportunity is going to be, the Philly native. So it's a nice job there from Frank, but it's also interesting at the same time, because I know when you have like just say if Nolan Patrick is a guy that they do move, maybe he's a guy that they send over to Seattle, maybe if you're trying to entice him to take a guy like a JVR Voracek. And that's like Seattle, if you're looking in terms of a fresh start for a guy, for Nolan Patrick, Seattle's probably the perfect place because you're not going to have any pressure there. It's a team that's literally just coming out of expansion. There's not going to be any expectations for that team, so it's there.
Yeah,
but like I said,
the Flyers want to lose Patty for nothing, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think they bring him back. The contract is going to be cheap. He has no negotiation at all, so it's most likely going to be something similar to what he got, I would assume, this year.
I mean, he's got a little more than he did last year because he played games, but
yeah,
that's it.
He has little leverage, but he also has that because of his play. I can understand from that standpoint, but I feel like he gets around the same. Maybe he gets like a minor pay raise, but I doubt that at the same time. I think he gets the same money that he got this year. And just like looking at the expansion draft in total, like, and also just talking about the free agent stuff as well. I think. Because there's one thought that's been creeping into my mind the past few days about possible teams that the Flyers could possibly work with, and I think this type of team is more like in the realm of trading, just because this is going to be a team that's desperately going to have to move some salary just because of how high they are above the salary cap once the playoffs end and they go into next season, and that's going to be the Tampa Bay Lightning. Because you're going into the playoffs now. They just got Kucherov back, and they got Stamkos back. They got Hedman back. They're way over the cap right now. And when you're thinking about it, Kucherov went on LTIR before the season even started. And that allowed Tampa Bay to sign Sergachev, to sign their other RFAs. And Tampa Bay, if they want to get under the salary cap for next year, they're going to have to move some pieces. And maybe I know it's probably going to be tough to try to send something in Tampa Bay's direction, But if you're looking to maybe possibly get a good piece of talent, because Tampa Bay might have to give up some of that to get under the salary cap, maybe you entice Tampa Bay with something to maybe take one of their players. And maybe that could improve the team. But then also going to your point about like guys like Ekholm, Ellis, like, yeah, I could definitely see the Flyers still going in that route to maybe getting one of those guys, because Nashville, they're in a series with Carolina and they're absolutely getting dominated right now. I don't see Nashville getting out of that series whatsoever. So, yeah, they're definitely going to be looking to move pieces. I think Ellis and Ekholm are a guy that the Flyers are definitely going to be looking at this coming off season.
I think so too. And that's the thing, because I feel like the reason I say Arizona, they have no money. Like, I think they're going to be looking to do some things, and I think Ekman-Larsson's a perfect fit. I mean, he can play the right side. All three of them guys can play the right side. They could even go for a guy like Hjalmarsson, who's been rumored too beforehand.
Yeah, he's going to be a free agent this year as well.
Yeah. I don't know, though. I think there's a lot of choices, but, like, it just makes me think of it if it's a trade, which I think it's going to be. If it's either going to be a package or a 1-for-1. That's what I'm still in the middle of. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's going to be the tough thing, because every team, you're dealing with the flat cap. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what moves are going to be made. And the big task right now is to see what's going to happen with the expansion draft and what's going to happen with Seattle, because right now that's the main priority for Chuck Fletcher. That's the main priority for this front office, to make sure. Like, I know some people are going to say, oh, why are they focusing so much on it? Like, you have to. You don't want to screw up the expansion draft, and you want to make sure Seattle takes one of the guys that has a lot of salary on your team. Because I know people are going to be saying that the Flyers don't have any leverage because, quote unquote, their players suck and Seattle's not going to want any of their players. But that is totally not true. That's just a typical Flyer being pessimistic. But it's just that Seattle, they got to get to the base salary. They got to take on big contracts. The Flyers, you're looking at a guy like a JVR. You're looking at a guy like a Jake Voracek. You can criticize those players if they want, if you want. Jake Voracek, yeah, he might not be worth the contract that he has, but he's maybe worth around $6-7 million, and he's still a really good point producer in this league. And that might entice a team like Seattle to, hey, this is a guy that's been a known point producer in this league. He puts up at least 60 to 70 points consistently every year. Let's even though we got to take on the big salary, we got to get to the base minimum. So let's take this guy on, and he could play on our first line. He could be one of our point producers for us, or a guy like a JVR. He's a consistent 25, 30 goal scorer in this league. We'll only have him for 2 more years after that at that $7 million cap hit. Why not take a risk? They have nothing to lose. They're trying to build their team.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I just don't know how. I mean, I think we'll have to see how they mold their team, and then it might be easier then to kind of figure it out.
Yeah. That's always going to be how they're going to mold their team, because I know some people, like I said, some people
mold it like Vegas. I could see Jake going.
Yeah, that could be an honest way to go about it. But then also, like, I understand why some people think it's going to be really difficult for the Flyers to negotiate with. I don't think it's going to be that difficult to negotiate at all. It's basic. They got to get to the base salary. I think that's the one thing that you got to focus on. They got to get to the base salary. They need to eat on contracts. And if you're going to eat on one of the Flyers contracts, at least you're going to be getting a decent player from one of those two contracts. If you are going to take a guy like a JVR or a Voracek or even a Ghost, you can possibly even take a Goss to spare from the expansion draft. But hey, maybe Chuck Fletcher does something else where he makes a trade to where, hey, don't pick this guy, but we'll trade you we'll trade you this guy if you select this guy from us. And it looks like Tampa Bay just made it 5-3 as I am talking right now. A lot of goals happening in that second period, and it looks like there's a minute and a half left in the second period for that Tampa Bay Florida game. So yeah, a lot of goals being scored.
Speaking of Fletcher, this is a tweet from Bill Meltzer that pretty much me and Yuriv have been saying this a lot on Don't Panic, and I've been saying it for a while. He said in this tweet from Bill, if I were Chuck Fletcher, especially after getting burned by Vegas in 2017, my attitude towards Seattle would be, you have a roster to build. You have to get to the cap floor. Our list is our list. Take your pick, and that's that.
That's
That's all it is. And someone had asked what happened in 2017, and Bill replied, just in case no one listening doesn't know, Minnesota traded talked to Vegas for them to agree to select Eric Hall off the Wild's unprotected list. Hall scored 29 goals in Vegas's inaugural season. Hawk became one of their top players, and still is arguably one of their top players, plays in their top 6 and everything. Has been since he'd been there. So they got absolutely smoked because I don't think they expected any of that to happen. Did I just see a tweet that, Matt Moore is in the game? Always lost tonight. Dude, that guy is garbage.
No, because for the sake of the Phillies game, if for people who don't know that, Vince Velasquez was supposed to start this game. Mm-hmm. He got scratched late because he had a blister on his finger, so David Hale had to start for the first 3 innings. He actually pitched pretty decent, but now, with Matt Moore, it's going to be a shit show. So you basically just pencil off that game as a loss already, in my honest opinion, with the way the offense has been for the Phillies this year. We also got a question right here from Jacob saying, if JVR or Jake get taken in the expansion draft, do we fill their spot in free agency or allow a young player to step in and take their role? Honestly,
that's a good question.
It could be either or. I see a free agency, I see a trade, and honestly, you can make one of the younger guys step up. A guy like Joel Farabee, maybe. Joel Farabee, he stepped up this year. Maybe he could take that spot. You never know.
I think it could be Allison.
Also, it could be Allison. You never know.
Yeah. I think it could be either or, to be honest. That's the thing. Like, if they lose JVR, I think Allison's going to take the spot. But then again, I think they could still do some stuff because with Hayes now, with the core muscle surgery, and also Giroux and Braun both having each they both have a broken foot. All of them are going to be ready by camp, but you can pretty much guarantee Hayes is going to have a slow start. I mean, it's always a tough season with the core muscle. We've seen it with Giroux, Ghost, and Moose.
Yep.
And for Giroux, the year he dealt with it, he had 14 goals. That was his lowest since the lockout year. And he had his lowest shooting percentage at 7%.
He had his lowest point total in his entire career.
Yeah.
And that was the moment where everyone wanted to call Giroux washed up, and he was getting too old, but he was coming off of a season with core muscle surgery.
And then the next year, he put up 102 points.
Yes, and should have won the Hart Trophy, but I'm not going to get into that debate.
Right. As for Hayes, he had his lowest goal since he was more of a defensive player with the Rangers. He had 12, and he also had his lowest shooting percentage of his career at 9%. So you could tell, and he also took, I didn't mean to hit that, sorry. He also took around 40-something less shots. He only had 127 shots on net. And last year he had 175. So there's a difference there.
And we also got a question right here from Chris saying, what defenseman do you think the Flyers are targeting to play with Provorov either through trade or free agency? It's pick or choose, honestly, at this point, because you just don't know what the Flyers are going to do. Like Chris brought up, maybe a guy like an Oliver Ekman-Larsson, maybe a Hjalmarsson, maybe you go for one of the guys on Nashville, Ellis or an Ekholm. If you're going for the guys on Nashville, I think Ellis is probably more of the prime opportune guy to be the top pairing guy, and Ekholm is more of a top 4 type of guy. But I think the Flyers, they want to at least try to find a bona fide top 2 guy to play with Provorov, and that's either going to be for free agency or a trade. I feel like the top 2 guy.
That's why I like Ekman-Larsson, Ellis, or Ekholm, because they can all fit that.
Yeah, and I feel like the top 2 guys most likely going to be acquired through a trade, because I just feel like there's not going to be that many through free agency, and that's also not guaranteed if Dougie Hamilton is a guy that goes to free agency, because right now with Carolina, they're up 2-0 against Nashville, and who knows how long they're going to go through the playoffs. But then it's also guaranteed because Carolina's owner, he's really cheap, and he doesn't like to spend that much money. So who knows, maybe what Dougie's asking for, he doesn't want to pay. But then
I can't see that though.
Yeah, that's
Dougie Hamilton. I can't see. I just can't see that. Could you if it did? Like they didn't want to pay Dougie Hamilton, they'd be the stupidest franchise in the league.
I can see that happening definitely, because if you go back to the Sebastian Aho when he was his ELC was up, I doubt their owner wanted to pay him what he's getting paid right now. He's only getting paid what he's getting paid because of what Montreal did, because they offer sheeted him. Yeah. It forced Carolina to pay that much money. I doubt the owner wanted to pay that much.
Yeah.
Because you also got to handle, they're a small market franchise. They don't have that much money. And I can understand why the owner technically wants to be cheap. So I can understand that standpoint. But yes, it's going to be tough if they're going to be going through these negotiations with and I see Jacob saying, let's put Hague with Provorov. We haven't tried that yet. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Hague is not a top 2 defenseman. Hague can barely play in the bottom 6.
Hague is just not good.
Hague can barely stay in the lineup, regardless. I don't think top 2 for Hague would be smart.
It looks like the Islanders tied it up, so it's 1-1 halfway through their second period, and I really hope the Islanders win that series. I don't want to see the Penguins going on another goddamn run.
I think Pittsburgh's going to win it, though. That's in New York now. Yeah, it's in New York.
I don't know, man. I feel like the Penguins definitely, they look a lot better in these playoffs than they have in a couple of years past. But for some reason, I feel like a lot of teams a lot of people just like to sleep on the Islanders. And every time we've slept on the Islanders, they were good in the playoffs. And I know they're missing a guy like Anders. I just they're showing the replay from Tavares. I was like, someone else on Toronto just got hurt, but now they're showing the replay from Tavares. But I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on the Islanders too much, and I just don't want to be that guy that sleeps on the Islanders because I feel like, then they'll be scary again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because I don't necessarily feel the same way like I did last year with the Islanders. Obviously they were worrisome, but I think I don't know. I just don't really feel the same. But this is the thing. I feel like when the Islanders are off, they're way off, and I feel like both Islanders and Penguins are both like that. Yeah, if either team is playing like shit, then they play like shit, or if they're on, they are on, and you can't stop them. You know what I mean? And there's no in between.
No, there definitely is no in between. Both of those teams described exactly what you just said. And yeah, and just for the Flyers standpoint, and also looking at backup goaltenders as well. There's definitely many options that they can go for, but Bernier? I think Bernier could be an option. I feel like the Flyers are going to try to go for that 1A, 1B type of situation just because.
Greiss, honestly.
Isn't Greiss on a multi-year contract with Detroit, though?
Yeah, but it's cheap. It's 3.6. It's not a lot.
Because you can go for Bernier. You can go for, I think Dreiger from Florida is going to be a free agent this year, so maybe you go after a guy like a Dreiger. Halak's going to be a free agent after this year. I think Rask is going to be a free agent after this year too, but I doubt the Flyers are going to go after Rask. But I think
so it is.
Freddie Anderson's going to be a free agent after this year as well.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me, I'm yawning. Rask, Rene, Anderson, Dubnyk, Ronta, Reimer, Grubauer, Mrazek, Bernier, David Riddick, Carter Hutton, Linus Olmark, Anders Nilsson, Halak, Corey Schneider, Lundqvist, Brassard, Mike Smith, Brian Elliott, Curtis McElhaney, Ryan Miller, Chris Jeter, Aaron Dell, Calvin Pickard, and Oscar Dansk. Those are pretty much all the other ones.
And the Penguins just made it as well. Penguins just made it 2-1. It looks like Jeff Carter got the goal.
Again?
So Jeff Carter has been a good spark plug for the Penguins, and that's a goal Varlamov definitely needs to have. Maybe
always get a softy.
Yeah, always good. That's why I was so skeptical. Why don't you just go back to Sorokin? I know the first game, he had a couple of bad rebounds, but I feel
every team has switched goalies in every game.
Yeah, that's just been Barry Trotz throughout his entire time with the Islanders. It's always been a 1A, 1B type of goaltender. There hasn't been
the Caps did it too. They went with Vanacek 2 games in a row, and then went with Anderson. Sorry, they went. Anderson came in, went Anderson again, and then put Samsonov in for game 3. And then, did you see the whole miscommunication they had?
Oh yeah,
everybody's complaining about.
That was bad.
I wondered who Ovechkin was yelling at, whether it was Schultz or whether it was.
It could have just been the entire team, man.
It looked like he was barking at somebody.
Yeah, because the Capitals in that series, they've looked like the much better team, but they're just making so many careless mistakes that's ending up in the back of their neck.
Yeah.
To where it's like I want to say they definitely deserve to be up in this series, but they also don't deserve to be up in this series because they're making way too many mistakes.
They had to lead twice last night too. They went up 1-0 on the road, then they went up 2-1.
Yeah,
it's and every game has been close. It's gone to overtime every game. It's not a recipe to win in the playoffs. But the Caps have always had a shaky first round. The year they won the Cup, they went down 2-0 and won 4 straight games.
Yeah, I think whoever wins the next game 4 between those two teams, they're going to win the series, whether that's Boston or Washington. But I think whoever wins that next game is winning the series. Mm-hmm. So if the Caps win, they're winning the series. If Boston wins, they're winning the series. But
yeah,
hey, if Boston
Taylor
wins,
Hall's been fantastic too.
He has been fantastic. If Boston wins, that'll help my prediction.
I said the Caps, so I'm already down. Go figure.
And we got another question from Jacob saying, what do you think of the Flyers trying to trade for Doughty? Kings are a bad team that might want picks or prospects. I would love a Drew Doughty, but not at that cap hit. Not at that cap hit.
That's why. Well, that's Ekman Larsson's like the same cap hit.
No, not close to Drew Doughty.
Drew
Doughty. I thought he was paying $11 million.
No, Doughty gets $8 million. $11 million is Matthews.
For some reason, I thought Doughty was getting paid this outrageous amount of money for some reason. No. Unless I am completely wrong about that, I'm definitely going to look that up this second because I thought he was getting paid an outrageous amount. So let me go to the good old Google. So let me go Drew Doughty.
Oh, it is $11 million.
I knew it.
But even still, you could still work that out. Like it's Drew Doughty, dude.
I know.
You're gonna have to give up something.
It's just like it's $11 million. I know you're gonna really have to shake up salary in order to bring in Drew Doughty. I would love Drew Doughty. Maybe we can convince LA to retain some salary.
Dude, they'll rebuilding. Say, dude, you could do it where you make them retain
25%.
Get them to retain $4 million. Make it $7 million even. So they retain. What would I'm trying to think.
And that's also the thing. You would have to send a lot back the other way if you're trying to get if you're trading for Drew Doughty. I think Los Angeles would ask for a guy like Cam York, and I think the Flyers are not willing to give up a guy like Cam York right now.
Well, then you give them Zamola.
That's even if they want some, or you give them a guy that's on the roster. Maybe maybe if you're going after a Drew Doughty, maybe that's the type of guy you trade.
I would do for. Like if it's Doughty, I don't know. It's tough, dude. It is. I don't know.
Jake's saying, wouldn't it be bad if Jake gets taken an expansion? Ideally for the Flyers, no, it's not bad. Yeah, you're losing a guy that's a big producer for your team, but right now the Flyers' main focus is to shed salary. And Jake Voracek and James Van Riemsdyk, those are the two guys that you're really hoping that Seattle takes a crack on, so the Flyers can really shed salary. Even if you're looking at a guy like Gostisbehere too, yeah, if you lose Gostisbehere, you also shed that $4.5 million off the cap as well. But a lot of people are really praying for Seattle to take a guy like a JVR or a Voracek, so the Flyers can really try to do something this offseason because they really need to shed that salary if they want to make the changes that they're planning to make. And this expansion draft is really key. And like you said, Jacob, Jake getting taken off the cap can open up for Doughty. It does open up that cap space, but then you're going to have to send a lot back to Los Angeles if you want to get Doughty. But I honestly don't see that happening. I would love for that to happen if it did. I don't see that as realistic right now. But you never know. You never know. Chuck Fletcher did say you have to be creative this offseason with the moves that the Flyers are going to try to make.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, this is the biggest offseason of God knows how long.
This is the biggest offseason since the last time the team was this terrible. Back in 06-07, where they lost the Patrick Kane draft lottery. And I'm still salty to this day about that because we could have had Patrick Kane.
Look what they did that year, too.
Yeah, they brought in guys like Daniel Briere. They brought in Scott Hartnell, Chemo Timonen. They brought in guys like John
Upshaw, too.
Upshaw came in the trade deadline before that offseason. Lupul came in. They brought in Smith to be their captain for that year. They also brought in Martin Biron before that offseason as well. So, yeah, the Flyers made a lot of moves during that season.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they basically reshaped that entire – who knows? Maybe that type of shapeup could be what the Flyers are going to try to do this offseason. You never know. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's going to be an intriguing offseason. And I think, like I said, I think we talked a little too much about the Flyers from what I wanted to plan. But, hey, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? But I do want to talk about the playoffs right now. because this first round of just playoffs has just been so and it also does feel like, I guess it eases the pain because you don't have to worry about watching your team in the playoffs, but it also kind of sucks because your team's not in the playoffs to begin with in general. But looking at all these playoff series, and like the most exciting one, like Florida and Tampa Bay, man, that first game was so electric.
I just wish it was close. Like, it looks like it's going to be a sweep.
Yeah, right now, the way Tampa Bay is playing Florida, and I personally do think the loss of Ekblad is kind of hurting Florida a little bit on the defensive side.
100%. I mean, it made sense. I mean, I know they're looking to re-sign Montour, and that's probably good because I don't know if Strawman's going to be coming back. And I don't think Strawman is under contract still after this year. I'm going to look that up real quick just so. But still, if Strawman isn't coming back, I think that would probably make more sense than to re-sign Montour. So he has 1 year left. I believe so. Yeah, he's a UFA in 2022. Yeah, he's 1 year left. Sorry. So it would probably make sense. But again, Ekblad, it sucks because that was a horrible injury, and he was having such a good year. He probably could have won the Norris if he kept going. But I don't know, man. It sucks. I like Florida. I just don't know what it is. Like, it just seems like them, whenever they play Tampa, they just look like a completely different team.
And that's the one thing I didn't want to pick Florida just because Florida right now seems to be like I know, yeah, they definitely took a big upside this year with the way that they were playing, but Florida, they've been that team like over the past decade where they have won a really good season. They make the playoffs. They sound like they're going to make noise. They don't make noise in the playoffs. They can't get out of the first round. And then the next few seasons, it's mediocrity. They're bad. They're not a good team. That's why right now I'm not buying into Florida too much. It's like the same, but like you can't buy into the team right now until they prove that they can be good consistently. And right now, Florida has not shown that year after year they could be a contender for the playoffs. Hopefully this is something different from Florida. Who knows what they're going to do this offseason, because right now you got a $10 million goaltender that's not starting for you in the playoffs. So there's a problem there. And I really do think Spencer Knight might be taking over the reins next year if Bobrovsky continues to be a problem for them.
I don't really think he was that much of a problem. I think they just went with Trigger.
Yeah,
like I thought he had a good game. It was just they didn't have the best defense, and that was a back and forth game. And kind of some breakdowns. He had the breakaway. Like, that's the thing. I don't necessarily think it was all Bob. I think it was just their D wasn't good, and maybe they just wanted to switch it up.
Yeah,
I think it's another 1A, 1B thing.
Yeah, it's because it's like it's always going to stick above their heads for Bobrovsky being that $10 million goaltender, and now you have Dreiger starting for him now, so that's always going to be the question mark for them going into next season. Hopefully, they do find a way to pull a win out of this. Right now, it's very unlikely with the way that Tampa Bay is just scoring in bunches on them. And if Tampa Bay wins tonight, who knows who they start in Game 4? Maybe they go back to Bobrovsky. Maybe they pull the limb and they go Spencer Knight. You never know with Joel Quenneville. They could do anything, but if we're looking at some of these other series in the playoffs, more in what we can watch in our time zone. So we got Carolina and Nashville. That's the textbook series. You know who's going to win that. Carolina's been dominating. Yeah, Nashville, they're going back to home ice. They're going back to Smashville. Maybe they can pencil out a win there, maybe one. I don't see it that much. So, yeah, I think Carolina's just going to win that easily.
In 5.
Yeah, probably in 5. Then Boston, Washington, same thing. I think it's a very evenly matched series. That's a series that I did predict to go 7 games at least, or at most. You can only go 7 games, but I think it's going to go 7, but who knows? Like I said, I think who wins Game 4 wins that series. The Penguins and the Islanders, that's another neck-and-neck series. So, and then you go into the Western Division. Winnipeg actually pulled it out against Edmonton yesterday. So that was a very surprising thing. No one really expected Winnipeg, I guess, to win that game.
They shut down McDavid.
Yeah, and that was the one thing Charlie O'Connor did bring up too. And I did tweet him after that game, like how he mentioned he doesn't like the way Edmonton is built around McDavid and Draisaitl.
I don't either. I've said it for years.
Yeah, and honestly, I can definitely see Winnipeg beating Edmonton in this series. If Hellebuck steals the series for them and Winnipeg figures out how to shut down Draisaitl or McDavid, that's an easy series win for Winnipeg. They just got us, and their goaltending too. You got a 39, 40-year-old Mike Smith in net, and then you got Koskinen behind.
Koskinen, 35.
Yeah.
I think they're both free agents too. Are they actually meant to resign? Well, I just read through the goalies, like a dunce. I know Smith is. I don't remember seeing Koskinen's name.
I think Koskinen has at least another year or two left on his contract with Edmonton. So, yeah, that's going to be an enticing series to watch the rest of. Hopefully McDavid does show up a little bit because that's what people are trying to watch that series for is McDavid. But then you go to Toronto and Montreal, and that's definitely going to be a really entertaining series, but hopefully everything with Tavares is okay. So hopefully it's not something that takes him out the rest of the series or something that takes him out the rest of the playoffs. Hopefully everything is okay there. They're currently down 1-0 to Montreal as we speak. Then you got Vegas and Minnesota. That's been a really exciting first two games. Minnesota winning in overtime in game 1, Vegas winning game 2. Minnesota, man, they're a very fun team to watch. And I didn't expect them to shut down Vegas like that in game 1. I did not expect that at all. The way Talbot played, man.
I could have seen it, honestly. I mean, I think the Wild have just been rolling because of what they have. They believe in Talbot. I mean, I was watching the video the other day, like, they knew that he was their guy as soon as their season ended. And, like, as soon as they were doing, like, free agency stuff, they needed a goaltender. I sometimes say tendy, but I said goaltendy. Yeah. But, yeah, Kaprizov has been good.
Breaking news, Sergei Bobrovsky's in net for Florida to start the third period.
Breaking news. And I know I just saw this on Twitter. I think that fight was kind of just to bring the Leafs back into the game.
Possibly.
Because it was like, if you think about it now, it's like, and David Pagnotta brought up a good point. He's like, it was unnecessary, but I get it. And that's kind of what me and you were saying when we were watching. Like, that's unnecessary, but we get it. You know?
Yeah. And then and like going back to the Vegas standpoint, it's going to suck because I'm going to be in Vegas over the weekend and they're not going to be there. But I'm going to be able to at least watch them at a bar on Saturday when they play Minnesota. So that's going to be fun. But yeah, their game is later tonight at 9:30. So
what are you going to Vegas for?
So going on vacation for 10 days, going out to see my sister who's living out in Los Angeles. So we're going to fly over to Los Angeles, pick her up, drive the 4 or 5 hour drive to Vegas, and then do everything there for the weekend because my birthday is also on Saturday. So we're going to be doing just stuff out there in Vegas, try not to lose money gambling, and just enjoy the time out there. Then we're going to go back to Los Angeles to finish off the weekend. We're going to be coming home, I think, the Sunday. I think we're coming home on Memorial Day or like the day before. I'm not entirely sure, but it'll be a fun time.
Going to any sports games?
Going to the Dodgers game on Friday, May 28th against the San Francisco Giants, so I can wear my aviators and boo Gabe Kapler.
There you go.
And for the other series in the playoffs, the last series, the Colorado and St. Louis, Nathan McKinnon, man. Nathan McKinnon is so fun to watch.
Yeah.
Has a hat trick. Man, he is fun. That's just it. Like Nathan McKinnon, man. That's all.
Yeah, they've been good. They've been really good.
Man, and then we got a comment right here from Positive Philly saying, who do you think will win the Stanley Cup? I predicted in my thing that Toronto was going to win it, but after this game, I'm kind of getting skeptical. But right now, it's only game 1. Toronto can still win this thing.
The Leafs did confirm that Tavares is at a hospital, though. Oof. So,
yeah, right now my prediction's not looking good, folks. But hopefully Tavares is okay. That's the most important thing there. But I did predict the Leafs in my bracket to win the Stanley Cup just because I want to see them win the cup for guys like Wayne Simmons. Just because I know saying that as a Flyers fan, meaning that if the Leafs win the cup, that means the Flyers will have the longest Stanley Cup drought in the NHL now. But I feel like this year everything has gone right for the Leafs, but hopefully they can win the cup. But you never know. I could see Colorado winning the cup. I could see Vegas winning the cup. I can see a team like Washington, Boston, Pittsburgh, the Islanders. I could see Carolina win the cup. I could see Tampa Bay going back to back this year. Honestly, it's pick or choose this year with the playoffs. I don't think there's that one team that you're going to say, yeah, this team is definitely going to win the cup this year. Who do you think, Chris? Who do you think has the best chance? Or like who?
I think it's too early to tell.
You think it's too early? Did you do a bracket at all?
I did not. I did one like my own. I forgot. Forgot. Dude, I've been working like every day, so I've just been so out of it. I'm thinking either Toronto or Vegas.
Toronto or Vegas?
I think if Carolina gets rolling, they could. Like Nedeljkovic.
Yeah, he's been good for
them.
An
award when they won young goalie. You never know.
Yeah, anything could happen. It looks like Florida just made it 5-4.
So all right, I might have to throw that game on.
Yeah, it's a battle back and forth right now with those two teams. So, yeah, that's definitely a game that everyone's going to want to pencil in. So, I think we are going to end it off here for the Fired Up podcast. Thank you guys for doing. Since I'm going on vacation, we probably won't be doing an episode for over a week at a time. So, definitely be a nice time off. Enjoy the playoffs. Chris, enjoy the playoffs. I'll enjoy my time in Vegas and Los Angeles. Hopefully I get to catch some playoff games while I'm out there. And Jacob says he has Toronto versus Colorado in his bracket. And I feel like that's the main series that a lot of people have had predicted this year. So I tried to go off the stride. I really want a Toronto-Boston final, but I can only keep my hopes up for so far. So that's going to do it for this episode of the Fired Up Podcast. Don't forget to check us out everywhere. YouTube, the same thing with the Painted Lines, everywhere on social media, Instagram, Twitter, just everywhere you can find them at. The Painted Lines, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. For Chris, Flyers Fan Mania 93 on YouTube and _ Chris Maher for him on Twitter. For me, TTP Sports on YouTube, and for Twitter, Amedeo Grassia 98. Don't forget to check out the Fired Up Podcast merchandise website. That link will also be in the description below. And just everyone, thank you for joining this Fired Up podcast on your Thursday evening. Enjoy the rest of the playoffs. Hopefully the Phillies win their game, which I don't expect them to. And I think that's going to do it for it here. So thank you for joining, everyone, and we will see you next time.